Rebecca with Red True Crime, and I am actually going to be covering an older case. So this has been solved and there's no mystery to it. But it's sad, and this one is more about social justice than anything else. So you'll probably see a new intro to this, like I do with the other ones. Where to begin? So tonight I'm going to talk about the case of Marcus Fiesel. I hate talking about kid cases. You know, I'm a mom. I've got 3 kids myself, and this one hits a little close to home for me. But, and what I mean by that, it's, you know, it happened in the Cincinnati area, which is where I'm from, Cincinnati, Ohio. And, little boy was autistic. And, those of you that follow this or know me personally know that my oldest child is also autistic. He's 24. And I tend not to comment on the cases like that. Like Sebastian Rogers, people have asked me why I've never covered that. And it's... I don't know if I can be unbiased on that and whatnot. So... yeah, but this case has already been dealt with and settled, so I can talk about this one. So let's jump in, and I apologize because this is going to be a long one, and you're going to see photos, you're going to see videos, you're going to see a lot of things. So bear with me while we go into this, and I will give you the info. So Marcus Fiesel was 3 years old at the time of his death. He was born on June 24th, 2003. And he passed away anywhere on August 4th or August 6th because they weren't able to determine when he actually died, 2006. So he just turned 3 when this happened. And he died in Claremont County. So, you know, yeah, it's crazy. So, let me pull up a little bit more information here. It's so sad. The whole thing is sad. And I hate talking about these. I really do. Because he was such a cute little boy. Big as blue eyes, just wonderful smile. Neighbors always commented about how happy he always looked, and he loved Bob the Builder and Bubbles, you know. I mean, that's a child that you just want to cherish, you know. And it's so crazy. So his biological mother, her name is Donna Trevino, and Marcus was the middle child of 3 kids. He had an older brother named Michael and a younger sister named Peaches. So his mom struggled. She had multiple men in and out of the house. All 3 kids were by 3 different men, so there's that. So there's not a lot of stability in that home, you know. She was getting help with social services. And I want to say she probably dabbled in possible drugs. I don't know about that. I couldn't really find a lot on her. But with having a child that is autistic, she struggled. She really did. Now, I try not to judge her too harshly because like I said, I have a child who is autistic. And there's varying levels of autism, you know, depending on where you're at on the scale. Michael, and I know this is not the PC term, but it's what I know, so please don't come down on me about this. Michael is very high functioning. If you were to talk to him, you would not even pick up that he was autistic. You'd probably think he was just really shy. But, you know, there's that. And you've got some children that are on the other end of things, and they don't even speak because they're not able to. And I'm not quite sure where Marcus was on this. I think he could speak, but, you know, I think he might have been like in the middle with some of this. But there is that. So he had been removed from his mom's care by CPS, Child Protection Services, and placed in foster care. Now, the company, oh God, what were they called? Youth in Life, was a private company that was contracted in the state of Ohio to help place children with prospective fosters. So he was sent to live with David and Liz Carroll, and that's basically where the downfall is. But he was born on 6/24/2003, lived in Middletown, Ohio, let me tell you, that is also where our Republican candidate for VP, J.D. Vance, is from. Marcus loved flowers, Bob the Builder, and Bubbles. He's autistic, and he actually attended a school for special needs children, so at least he had that going for him. But he was very active, and mom had a hard time coping. To give you an idea how active he was, there was one incident where he got on the roof and fell off and cut his chin, had to get stitches. And then there was another time where he got loose and almost got hit by a car. He was in the street. So, you had that going on. When police and CPS got involved, they found the house was in disarray. It was infested with fleas and bugs and smelled of feces. So, they pulled the kids. And she even said, I don't think I can take care of these kids. Neighbors commented that she was just crying, just overwhelmed and exhausted. So, not everybody's set up to handle children like that. I know I had my moments with mine that I was just exhausted and overwhelmed. And I had a husband, and sometimes he added to that. But like I said, I'm trying not to judge her too harshly. But she gave up her rights to her own kids. Mom was also a victim of domestic violence. That was another issue as to why those kids were pulled. And the police observed bruising on Marcus, so it looked like the boyfriend was being a little too rough with him. And that's why they pulled him, like all these reasons. So, let's see. I got so many notes. There were so many notes on this case. And I talked about him almost getting hit by a car. So Butler County, so Cincinnati is a pretty big city. So let me give you a little bit of an idea. Cincinnati sits like on the Ohio River. And it's on the actual border of Ohio and Kentucky. So there's a bridge that you can take from downtown Cincinnati and go across the river into Kentucky. Like 5 minutes, you're there. So I actually grew up on the Kentucky side of Cincinnati, which a lot of people are confused whether like you're from Kentucky but you have no accent, and it's like, because I am from Ohio. I was born in Ohio, I was raised in Kentucky, but because where I grew up in Kentucky was so far north, I guess that it's it's basically on the river from Ohio, basically Ohio, with just northern tones. But yeah, Life for Youth was the company that got them. So Butler County is another county that's like north of Cincinnati. You have Claremont County, which is like east side of Cincinnati. Then you have Hamilton County, which is most of Cincinnati proper. So when I mention these counties, you're going to be like, okay, where is this? I wanted to give you that idea because this case bounces from county to county to county, and it even goes into Kentucky at some point. So just bear with me. I apologize. So once the kids were removed from Donna Trevino, Butler County Social Services was given custody of these kids. So Lifeway for Youth, which is the foster care company that they went through, they placed Marcus with the Carrolls. And here's where things kind of, fall apart there. David Carroll and Liz Carroll were a couple. They had their own kids. They were used to taking fosters, but they never should have been able to take fosters. And this is one of the first breakdowns as to why foster care system needs to be overhauled in a major way. David Carroll suffered from mental illness, like bipolar disorder. And David Carroll also had a domestic violence case right before Marcus got placed with him, and Lifeway for Youth was never notified about this. Had they known about this, they never would have placed Marcus with them. So at one point, because they had their own child, and then they had another foster child, and then they brought Marcus in. At one point, David's like, I don't want to be a foster parent. So he leaves, ups and leaves Liz with these kids, and moves in with this woman named Amy Baker, his girlfriend. After about a month or so, he comes back, but he brings Amy with him. So they go from being a married couple to basically a throuple. A throuple. Okay. So, and one of the issues that David had, he was jealous of Marcus. He did not like all the constant attention that Marcus demanded. And I'm sorry, when you're dealing with a special needs child, yes, they demand a lot of attention. So get the hell over yourself. I will never understand why people get upset about that crap. Kids get jealous of their siblings for that reason. I hear it. I think it's still stupid, but it is what it is. But I'm just like, whatever. Because I hear about that with my kids, with my son Michael. Like, oh, you always give him more, whatever. It's like, you guys are grown-ups. Please get over this by now. But, yeah, red flags all over the place. One of my favorite YouTubers is a woman named Annie Elise. And some of her older videos, she's like literally sitting here with like a red flag. She's like, red flag. She does this all the time. It's really funny. I wanted to do that, but then I'd be copying her and I wouldn't be unique. So, it's a red flag that this guy has already said, hey, I don't know if I want to be a foster parent. So why are you? And I know that was a big issue too with the foster care system. You had a lot of people getting involved for the money because the state pays you money to take care of these kids. So you're running to a lot of people who were not doing it for the right reason, and they were trying to make a penny off of it. My late husband's grandmother was one of those people. Yeah, made a lot. Took in foster kids for the money. Awful. So you've got Liz Carroll, you've got David Carroll, and you've got Amy Baker. These three people. And you've got David's issue with Marcus. And at some point, they're having their little threesome, whatever. And there is a family reunion that's coming up. And it's in Williamstown, Kentucky. Which is about, from where they're at, I want to say it's like a 2-hour drive from where they're at. So, let's see. They leave, they go to that, they come back. Not long after they get back, you hear, and this is where I remember this story coming from, because I was still living in the area at the time when this happened. Liz Carroll gets on the news and says, okay, I have low blood pressure, I passed out when I woke up, Marcus was gone. She was at the park with her own child, the other foster kid, Marcus, and they were babysitting somebody else's kid. And she tells him, I've lost Marcus. And they were at the Gilliffe Park over in Anderson Township. So that's like Claremont County. It's also Cincinnati, is the east side of town. Very rural area, very suburban. But, so I kid you not, once word got out that this 3-year-old autistic boy was missing, people got out there looking for this kid. They had thousands of people looking for this kid. Thousands upon thousands. And yeah, it was crazy how many people, they even brought search dogs in and everything else. So on 8/22/2006, press conference, she did a press conference begging for whoever took Marcus to bring him back. And I quote, I need help from the public to help my son. I know people think foster care is temporary, but please return him to a hospital. Waking up every morning and not having him run to me is very difficult. I am closer than his birth mother to him. End quote. That is what she actually said. Now, as the police are investigating his disappearance, you're finding out that people who were at that park never saw her with 4 children. They only saw her with 3. And Marcus was not one of the 3 kids they saw. So police were, wondering what the heck was going on. So as they go on and keep searching, Marcus, they found some incinerated remains, and they were discovered it was Marcus. And he was discovered on an 88-acre estate owned by Mike Kales in Brown County, which is still Ohio. And then you find out the truth comes out as they start investigating further. Cops start digging at the parents because nothing was really adding up. And then you find out that Dave and Liz Carroll left Marcus locked in a closet, bound with a blanket and packing tape, while they attended the family reunion in Williamstown, Kentucky. And they were there from August 4th to August 6th of 2006. Now, Liz Carroll said this to the grand jury. She said there was no intent on hurting him. And she said that she just didn't want to take him because he was such a handful. He's 3. Even if he wasn't autistic, 3-year-olds are a handful. Small children are a handful. And if you can't handle that, you shouldn't be a foster parent. Just saying. So, when they wrapped this kid in a blanket and then covered him in duct tape, and they left him in a closet, did not leave him any food or any water. Authorities feel, and I believe this was confirmed by the autopsy, the heat in the closet killed him. Because the heat in the closet got up to anywhere between 105 and 110 degrees. And the child had no water, he had no food, and he was wrapped in a blanket and covered in duct tape. So if the heat in the closet got to 105 or 110, imagine how much hotter he was being wrapped up in a blanket and duct taped. Probably got up to around 120 degrees in his body. Now, Liz Carroll did tell them, she's like, when they got home, they found him dead in the closet. And David Carroll and Amy Baker decided to get rid of the body, so they incinerated his body in an old chimney. So, here's where I get angry, because you've got Liz is admitting what she's done. You've got David admitting what he's done. Amy Baker gets immunity so she can testify against both of them. And I'm going to explain why this upsets me. So yeah, she got immunity for testifying in Ohio. Now, Liz and David were both indicted in Claremont County and Hamilton County. Only because the boy died in Claremont County, but they disposed of the body in Hamilton County. So that's why there's the back and forth there. So Liz and David were indicted in Hamilton County grand jury on 2 counts of child endangering and 1 count of involuntary manslaughter. David had additional counts of gross abuse of a corpse added to his. On August 29, 2006, Hamilton County charged Liz and David with false alarms, inducing panic, and gross abuse of a corpse. Liz was charged with 2 charges of perjury because she lied. And then on 9/1, so September 1st, 2006, Claremont prosecutor Don White and Hamilton prosecutor Joe Dieters, who actually know, my parents knew him, have joint press conferences where they discuss prosecuting the defendants. All murder and homicide prosecution will be handled in Claremont County because that's where he died. State of Ohio contends that the Carrolls attempted to cover up Fiesel's death in Hamilton County. All charges related to inducing panic and covering up the death of a child was prosecuted in Hamilton County. So several days later, on September 6th, Claremont County grand jury indicted David Carroll on 8 counts of involuntary manslaughter, kidnapping, felonious assault, and endangering children, and gross abuse of a corpse. Liz Carroll, it's crazy how this whole thing went down, but Liz Carroll goes to court, and they tried them separately. So Liz and David were not tried together, they were tried separately. So Liz Carroll was found guilty of all charges on February 21st, 2007. A jury of 9 women and 4 men, which I knew that was going to go against her right there. Only took them 4 to 6 hours to decide her fate. And the trial was only 10 days long. Her lawyer promised an appeal over a report that the jury stated, a juror stated that she knew in her heart that Liz Carroll was guilty. But I think what really did her in was the prosecution stated in their closing argument, and this is a quote, "They say you would not treat a dog that way, and you know what? She didn't. She took the dog with her." So she left Marcus wrapped up in a blanket, covered in duct tape, in a closet, and took the dog with her to the family reunion. Yeah, because she felt the dog was less problematic than Marcus. So she was sentenced to 54 years to life. So she has to do 54 years before she even gets eligible to even be considered for parole. So this was in 2007 where she got sentenced, so it would be 2061 before she gets a chance to get in front of a parole board. David Carroll, this lovely man, took a plea deal and pled guilty to the murder and gross abuse of a corpse, and he was sentenced to 15 years to life. Now, how in the hell does this man get that? And why does this woman get hit with 54 years? My thing is, he should have gotten 54 years and she should have gotten 54 years. Personally, I think they both should have gotten a needle in their arm. But, you should have done that. And let me tell you, his physical transformation is crazy. Because when he went in, they interviewed him like a year after he was found guilty. And he had some tattoos on his arms, but that's it. He's a basic looking white guy. And then now when you look at him, because he went up for parole 2 years ago, and it was denied. But, he doesn't go back up for parole until, I think, 2029. But he's got neck tattoos. Like, he is all tatted up here. He's got neck tattoos, and he's got teardrop tattoos right there under his eye. And I know the teardrop's supposed to signify, like, you've killed someone. I don't know if it's strictly you killed someone in prison or you've killed someone in general. But, yeah, he's advertising that. So, but David Carroll said that he and Amy Baker are the ones who wrapped Marcus up in that blanket and bound him with duct tape. So, how did she not get charged with anything? Because they gave her immunity to talk about those two. So, in April of 2007, the state of Kentucky charged Amy Baker with evidence tampering. Charges were dropped due to her immunity agreement. Now, I'm not clear how Kentucky got involved in this, only because maybe they all went to Williamstown, Kentucky together. Maybe, and she took some stuff with her. That might be the only thing I could think of. I do remember vaguely hearing that they had disposed of some things in Kentucky when they were down there at that family reunion. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. So, Amy Baker, I was looking everybody up. Amy Baker got married. So, she is now Amy Ramsey. And she's got drug charges. So, she never got her shit together. She kept doing dumb things. David Carroll, I've talked about. And Liz Carroll, is still in prison and doing what she needs to do. So here's what came back from all this. Donna Trevino filed a lawsuit against social services in Ohio. It got dismissed. I believe she is no longer living. I think I found an obituary. I'm not sure if it's her. I'm pretty sure it's her, but don't quote me on this. But I believe she passed away in 2014. So, which is a shame. And I don't know whatever happened to his other two siblings. I'm assuming they stayed in the system and got adopted out. It's the only thing I can think of on that. But they did change some things in Ohio when it came to foster care. They're doing tougher background checks. Lifeway for youth lost their license, so they couldn't no longer work in the foster care system. A memorial was done for Marcus. The chimney where his body was burned, they tore that down. Nobody wanted to see that. And Hanlon Park in Georgetown, Ohio, a bench was dedicated to his memory on his 4th birthday. And that was June 24th, 2007. It's just a sad, sad case. The whole thing is. I mean, this kid didn't stand a chance. He just didn't, I mean, you have his mom wasn't protecting him from the boyfriends, and he's autistic. And then he's given to people who didn't care, who didn't want to take care of him. How does that even happen? I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So it's just so sad. And when I put his picture up in here in this video and the interviews and all that, you're just going to get so enraged and so emotional that this beautiful little boy, this very sweet, very loving little boy, got put through that hell because people didn't want to take him to a damn family reunion. Come on. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Like I said, this is why I don't like reporting on these kid cases, because it hits me. I'll never understand why people don't want children. I can understand why people don't want children, but I'll never understand people putting themselves in the position to get children that don't want children, and then they do this crap. I don't understand it. Because this never should have happened. The agency that placed him with the Carrolls should have done a much better background check. They never should have placed him with them. This could have been prevented, and that's the thing. Because had he stayed with his mom, he probably would have gotten hit by a car or broken his neck, fallen off the roof. Any of that is possible. But yeah, I guess that this is just beyond heartbreaking. And nobody should forget Marcus. Nobody should forget Marcus, because he was a special little boy. And his story needs to be told. All the stories need to be told, all the victims. But especially his. His needed to be told. Because he has a voice. We are the voice for him. So, yeah. All right, well, that's all I have for right now. When I upload this onto YouTube, you'll have everything, all the imagery and whatnot. So let me say this. If you want to see the anything new that comes out, make sure you subscribe and then hit the bell. It'll let you know when I upload things. So subscribe, share, like, please. Share, tell people about this. Let the more you like, the algorithm will push my videos out there for somebody else to see that is into true crime. And if you want to sponsor an episode, that'd be great. I'll be glad to talk to anybody who wants to sponsor an episode. If anybody wants to donate to add to the cause of building this better, I will not say no to that. And so I will end this with the be weird, be rude, be safe routine. I always say, if you're weird and rude, you won't get taken. I guarantee it. So again, this is Rebecca with Red True Crime. Please be careful out there. Love your children. Love everybody's children. And those of you that are are in the foster care system, that take in children and take care of them, I applaud you for what you do. But if you do what the Carrolls do, if you're cruel and you're mean, God help you. So, yeah. Again, this is Rebecca. I'm with Red True Crime. I'm out. Thank you again for tuning in and listening. Have a great night. Thank you.
Carroll took a plea deal in the case, and he was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. His first parole board meeting is next month, and for many in the tri-state, it's a case they won't forget. Deb Haas covered the search for Marcus Fiesel.
There are stories that just don't let you let go of them.
She was a WCPO reporter, and she tells me she could never forget.
But everybody wants to know what is happening to Marcus Fiesel. What is happening with this family? What is happening in the community?
Let's take you back to August 2006. David and Liz Carroll fostered 3-year-old Marcus Fiesel. Instead of taking Marcus to a family reunion, they stuck him in a hot closet, wrapped him in a blanket, and then in tape to prevent his escape. When they got back to their Union Township home 2 days later, he was dead. David then took the child's body to a chimney in Brown County, burned his remains, and then dumped them in the Ohio River. That is when the cover-up began.
But I remember when Liz Carroll was in that park pleading for the woman that she said she saw.
That anybody that saw me with my kids or saw me or saw Marcus to please contact the authorities, the news, anybody.
Think about a child who's missing and he's 3 and you think, did somebody take him? Did he wander away? Where is he?
The Carrolls faked their son's disappearance.
We're going right across the street here. Let's go ahead.
Thousands joined in on the search.
I'm not thinking anything, besides maybe he's just scared and hiding. Anderson Township, I'm imagining they'll find him.
It wasn't long after the searches began, the story began to unravel.
He knows. He knows that he didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
David had a live-in girlfriend at the home. She would become the star witness in the case, leading to convictions of both Liz and David. Liz was sentenced to 54 years to life. David took a plea deal and is eligible for parole next month. A lot of time has passed. Marcus would have turned 19 this year.
But, people loved him. They never knew him and they loved him.
All these years later,
there's stories that never let you go, and this is definitely one of them, and it should be that way. We should never forget this little boy.
Jake Ryle, WCPO 9 News.
Well, 10 years ago, a little boy lost his life at the hands of his foster parents. The tragic life of 3-year-old Marcus Fiesel, that is, captured the hearts and minds of the entire tri-state, in fact.
Yeah, and thousands of you searched in vain for that little boy who was already dead. And thousands more of you sat stunned when you heard at home how he died.
9 on your side anchor Tanya O'Rourke takes you back 10 years to when this story first broke, and she looks ahead at what's really changed all these years later.
My husband, myself, nobody harmed him. Nobody hurt him.
We suspected her from the very start that she knew what happened to this kid.
August of 2006, on the day that Liz Carroll, foster mother to Marcus Fiesel, stood in Juliff's Park pleading for someone to find her son.
Remember, the whole town was turned upside down looking for this little kid.
Hundreds of volunteers had searched the Hamilton County Park for days and days on what they did not realize was a fool's errand. Liz's husband, David, took a lie detector test.
Like my husband said, he doesn't believe that was accurate.
13 days later, the stunning announcement from Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters. Liz and David Carroll had killed the boy they were charged with caring for.
I mean, we're missing our son.
It's a horrible thing that they did to this baby. They could hear him screaming in the closet when they left.
A closet, Dieter says, where the temperatures reached between 105 and 115 degrees. David and Liz had a live-in lover, Amy Baker. David and Baker took Marcus's body to this old chimney and burned him over and over again. Then they chucked what was left in the Ohio River.
That was Marcus Fiesel. What's left of Marcus Fiesel? would fit in this cup.
Liz Carroll got a 54-year sentence. This is part of prosecutor Woody Breyer's closing statement.
And who did it? She did. And you know, they say you wouldn't treat a dog like that. And you know what? She wouldn't. She took the dog with her. She took the dog with her.
I love my children with all my heart and soul.
David Carroll cut a deal. He got 15 years to life. And those left behind?
It really changed a lot of people who were involved in the case.
Not just people. Legislation. In 2009, the Ohio Supreme Court adopted Rule 49, which provides what's called guardian ad litem for each foster child. That person is the liaison between the court and the foster system. Ohio also revoked Lifeway for Youth's license. That's the foster care company that placed Marcus with the Carrolls, and Ohio Job and Family Services says it has increased mandatory training for caseworkers and put greater emphasis on placing foster kids in permanent adoptive homes. Too late for Marcus, but perhaps not for thousands who follow. Tanya O'Rourke, 9 on Your Side.
9 on Your Side.